we gotta give him a shout out too.
Excuse me.
Yo,
What up?
what's going on, everybody? This is SangLucci.com TV, Tuesday TVs. We never even created a name for this. We never did it.
This is Sang Lucci TV, and Thursday is Sang
the
Lucci
mailbag.
Mailbag. Correct.
See.
Yep.
What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you didn't get chopped up too much in the markets recently. It's been pretty out there. Today we're gonna drop most of the trading talk. And we're just going to talk some shit here. We're going to talk some shit about some of our most memorable moments here at the Loft. And last night, or actually this weekend, Peter and Charlie have already moved out.
Officially moved out.
And it actually went smoother than anticipated.
Well,
especially for Peter. But then again,
for Pete it was super smooth.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
I gave him my dining room table for free.
Yeah,
I paid $1,200 for it.
Pete literally got Lucci, like, basically
Yeah,
an entire apartment worth of furniture for free, because that's what he does, guys. He gets free stuff from people.
He gets free shit.
What he does.
That's what he does. He just sticks around and just annoys the shit out of you.
Yeah, until you give him free stuff.
Until
That's
you give
kind
him
of
free
what
shit.
he does. He's very good at that.
But they know they need him for something.
Yeah, you know you need him for something.
You know you need him for something. You don't know what. What it is, you don't know.
I don't know what it is.
Don't need me for anything. I'm actually just encouragement.
Oh, God. So, guys, just to kind of dispel a little bit of rumors here. I mean, what we're doing here is we're counting down some of our best moments from 2 years we've been in the Loft, right? I mean, this was sort of the place where everything started. This is where Pete, Anand, who is obviously Sang Lucci, and myself were living in when we first all moved out, to New York to start fun together, really start focusing in on the website, and everything has sort of spiraled from there. So it's been 2 years, and we're going to count down some of the best moments. Some of them are funny. Some will, I'm sure, be poignant and all nostalgic and weepy and stuff.
Let's give everybody. My bad, to cut you off. What were you saying?
We are not like dissolving as a company.
We're not leaving.
All right, we've gotten some stuff on Twitter where everyone's like, I can't believe you guys are shutting down and stuff like that. It's like, no, that's not what's happening, guys. Anand is moving to Boston. This has been something that has been, this has been part of the schedule, right? He said when he first originally came, hey, 2 years here, then I'm moving back to Boston, be with my daughter, be there. Pete is moving to New Haven, Connecticut. He's going to try and take over the Yale campus and poach, some smart geek people to help him and Chaim build out the technological backbone, everything that we're doing.
Definitely.
That's a gross oversimplification, but that's the nature of the beast.
Right.
And I've moved to Brooklyn is where I live, but the offices, the rest of sort of our team is going to be based in New York, right? So basically everyone you see here, Brian Weiner, Greg Gamba, if you guys do not know him, is the one sitting behind us in the New York Rangers sweatshirt. He's part of the crew. Roy Davis, right over my shoulder. Yep. So, guys, we're very much still together, absolutely jacked up about what we got coming down the pipeline for you guys.
Absolutely. So why don't we give them a quick synopsis here of how we started, man? Why don't we just give them a quick, brief synopsis
rundown
of
the
shit that was going down before we actually moved to New York.
All right.
The shit that you two were just wrestling around trying to figure out before we came to New York, because I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
I really was doing nothing.
Lucci had already done the work.
I did everything, and I sent it to the guys, and then it was all like, all right, give me something, show me something.
Well, I mean, Lucci was giving a speech. Lucci was speaking at the Tim Sykes conference in Vegas. spoke to absolutely. I didn't see the speech, obviously, but he crushed it in front of 1,000 people. And Pete was there, and Pete kind of hooked onto him and said, "You're awesome. Let's start a fund together." And Lucci said, "Get away from me." And then over and over and over, Pete just kept bugging him until he started taking him seriously. And then I knew Pete. I had worked in startups and raising capital and marketing an offering before, and so I knew some of the stuff that we had to do. So Pete goes, I got this genius trader who wants to start a fund, and I said, well, let's look at the track record. And
and that's the thing Pete does. He'll always omit or exaggerate. Like I never wanted to. I didn't want to do shit.
Yeah. Well, he's very good at just being like, this is going to happen.
This is
just so you know, this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Lucci and I were just like,
raising money was so tough for us.
Extremely tough. Yeah. I mean, we started out.
We went on a little escapade around the country.
Little road show. Yeah. Little road show.
LA, Washington,
Denver,
Boston, whatever.
I mean, it's just like any startup. I mean, it was an angel round basically. It was friends and family only. You know, very small amount of money.
I spent 2 months, guys. I spent 2 months trying to find an apartment. I remember literally coming out here every weekend. Literally coming out here every weekend and possibly even weeks on end, staying in hotels, trying to find fucking apartments. Yeah. And if you've never lived in New York City, guys, getting an apartment in this fucking city is unreal. Yeah. It is unreal. The process to getting it, the applications that you got to fill out, the proof that you need, the proof of income that you need. Yeah. You know, and we ended up just kind of stumbling into this place.
Well, that's one of the moments.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the moments. It's one of the moments. It's one of the moments.
So we ended up negotiating the guys who own this place way down, right? Because when they originally were marketing to us, we were like, this is way outside of our budget.
It was like 13, 14 grand.
They wanted like 13 and a half grand a month for this, and we were like, there's gonna be 3 of us in there. No way. Are you kidding me? We kept negotiating down, and
the dude was what was the dude? He was like a Broadway.
Yeah, he was an ex-Broadway guy. Yeah, he had a TV show. He was like 85. Lucci saw him fall down the stairs. It was crazy. And I remember being on the phone with you when you walked in. Yeah. And I heard he kept calling me when he was at places, being like, "Okay, this is the deal. You know, kind of small here, but view, blah blah blah." Right. And you were talking to me, and I heard the echo in the background, and I was like, "Is that an echo?" And he was like, "Yes, it is." And I was like, "This place is just enormous," and he was like, "Yes, it is." And I remember walking in and just seeing the lights. The place was completely empty. It had the bar stools. Dude was sitting there at the bar stool, and I was like, and I remember saying to you, I was like, "Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is it."
Yeah, this is it. But then it was just way out of reach.
It was way out of reach.
And then they hit us back. They randomly hit us back, and we're like, "Yo, let's negotiate."
And we negotiated down, and we made it work. And we chose this place, guys. I mean, it was one of the main reasons we did it is because we wanted it to be a place where we could have people always coming through here, right? It wasn't just us being able to like party, you know. And although we did throw some great parties here, it was about.
We're gonna talk about those too.
It was about us having a place where there was enough space where people could just come in all the time and meet one another and talk to one another. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that we've been able to ink some of the best partnerships that we have. It's just because.
And that dining room table, bro.
And that dining room table.
Table.
It's just been a steady stream of people feeling like they can drop by whenever and you know with no real agenda and hang out. So
we moved. I had a U-Haul truck and I came from Boston. I remember I had a bunch of shit and I couldn't find a parking spot or I couldn't get into the apartment.
Well, I remember being on the phone too.
And I remember calling this kid and just yelling at me, just like, "Yo, save me," because there was cops everywhere. It was like a weird time, and it was right around the World Trade Center, like just starting to come up. There were cops everywhere. I'm a brown dude. I got there's 2 brown dudes in the car.
Well, I told you that there was parking around. Not even thinking. I'm in LA looking on Google Maps, and I tell Lucci, yeah, there's parking all over the place. Don't worry about it. He's like, "You're sure there's parking?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And then he shows up, and obviously he can't get like a 14-foot tall U-Haul into any of the parking garages. And I remember you clearly saying to me, and I'm in LA still on Google Maps. I remember you saying, "Charlie, get me the fuck out of this situation." And he just hung up the phone, and I was like, "Oh, shit, he's really pissed off."
So we had no furniture, guys. We had no furniture. All we had was this desk and a love seat, a leather black love seat. Yep. And that was all we had. That was literally all we had as far as furniture. There was nothing else in here. Yep. And then we just started swiping credit cards.
I'm just going for it, man. I'm just going for it.
And now there's what, 10, 12 desks in here. Yep. There's people running in here every single day.
Yeah, some of the meetings we have now, we're just like,
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable.
It is very cool.
So cheers to that. If I was Brian Weiner, I would be drinking a large glass of Jameson.
Jameson, yeah. True.
All right, so let's do this little countdown here. Top 5 here. Top 5 moments here. What are we doing? How are we doing on the number one?
Let's. I mean, I got to start with Haim and Brian.
Haim and Brian.
I mean, this is sort of events, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And especially in terms of importance to everything we're doing. I mean, Haim and Brian were some of the first. First of all, we had read about Haim and Brian in a book, and a month later.
Yeah, Charlie had read Dark Pools. I didn't even know this book existed, and then you were kind of at that point where you weren't even comfortable recommending me a trading book.
Yeah,
because you knew I'd be like, "Yo, you don't know shit."
I was
like, "Shut up, man."
Yeah.
He was like, "Dude, this is great. This is great. I was like, "Fine." We read it, and I'm skimming through. I get through a couple chapters. I'm like, "But this is the book I've been waiting for."
Right.
Like, this is the book that I wanted to read 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we amped it up so much, it was like, okay, who is this guy Chaim Bodig? It's like, then finally we just started hitting him up on Twitter. He hit us back, and Peter just gave him a call.
Yeah, just gave him a call. I remember being on that conference call with him.
Right.
I thought it was going to be a 5-minute call. He blew us off. It was 2 hours long,
Right.
and there's so much,
Right.
shared perspective.
Right, and he comes over here, and, I have all these questions that I wrote down, things that I wanted to understand more that I read in the book.
Right.
And
Naturally.
I didn't get to ask any of these things.
Right.
He just kind of went nuts.
Right.
He just kind of went nuts and then just sized the whole operation that we had
Right.
from ground up,
Right.
and then looked at it like 10 years in advance,
Right.
and then assessed like his position.
He was like,
his possible position
Right,
in it,
right.
and then from there he's like, yeah, all right.
he's like, I'll give this a week of my time, and then it just kept snowballing.
Oh,
And he sent
that's it.
Brian in to do recon,
Right.
and that was awesome. 'Cause
I
Brian,
walk in, I'm like, I get to the door, I'm like, I'm gonna get, what is this?
the hallway to our building,
The
guys,
hallway.
it looks nice behind
Yeah.
us, but the hallway into the building,
I thought I was entering a rape den.
yeah,
That's how I call it.
people usually say, yeah.
And then I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is not a rape den.
Yeah, yeah, and then it looks nice. And Brian walked in, and just everyone else we usually met with coming in suits and doing their usual business, exchange of business cards and stuff. Brian walks in, shades on, leather
Yeah.
jacket, really just was just like maybe not leather jacket, maybe
Something.
some sort of casual jacket, and was literally just you might have had a hoodie. I think you had a hoodie. Yeah. And he was just like, it was just like his whole approach was just like you guys are here to court me, all right, not the other way. Let's get that straight.
He definitely was doing the power play. The first
And
time.
he sized us up and was like, he just kept ask questions about what we do and options and stuff like that. And you kind of sat there like, all right, cool. We could probably work with some of this. And then you left. I don't think we heard anything for 2 weeks.
Right.
And then things just started snowballing.
And now he's here.
I
And
saw
guys,
the young hustle, the energy that we needed
Exactly.
as old men.
That's basically the only thing we've brought to the table in a lot of these relationships. It's just energy and
we do. We
desire.
bring that energy and we bring that hustle. We do it all the time. This is what we know.
Yep.
That's what I started this whole thing on, and that's where these guys have sort of catapulted on top of everything that I've already done.
Totally.
Another thing too is that their involvement, Brian and Chaim, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know where that's going to go yet either. They haven't really launched it out there. So to everybody out there, make sure you continue going back to sanglucci.com.
Right.
Watch the Trading Machines tab that we have, and that's going to slowly start to piece together all the other things that we're working on that you're not going to see all the time on the front end, especially on Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So definitely keep an eye for that. All right, number 2 here.
You got one you want to throw out there?
I mean, that first party.
That first party was absurd.
That first party,
disgusting.
That first party. The problem, there are so many problems that happened with that first party.
Yeah.
And Greg, we had another intern at the time. And this, I mean,
he got crushed.
This got really bad.
Yeah.
This shit got really bad.
Yeah.
And you were probably, we'll bring Greg into the mix here. But this party there was so many different kinds of people. There was almost too many different kinds of people.
Well,
and
we got a white dude, an Indian dude, an Asian dude, and a Dominican dude, all living in the same place. Like, you get a lot of
that's some crazy shit, That's United Nations type shit.
Yep.
And we all bring our own constituency to these parties, and I think that was the first time that we realized, whoa, maybe
this is
we
weird.
can't do this shit.
Yep.
Yeah. So there was.
Well, you can just in the right setting.
Right.
Like we've had dinner parties and stuff where it was where everyone was mixed and it was fine. But when you have just crazy lights and blaring music and DJ and whatever, and it was packed to the brim.
It was packed, but it was packed with the weirdest assortment of people.
And we weren't really selective with guests either. We just wanted to get as many people as we could. We just wanted to blow
it was
up
like
the
the
space.
first party,
Yeah.
and we had to cut it short because I just got so pissed off.
Yeah, you were like everybody out.
I got so pissed off at 2:30. It was me, Charlie, and Dennis in the balcony. The balcony.
Yeah.
And we were just talking together. We were like, all right, let's kick everybody the fuck out.
Well, we said that. You remember what Jack?
Jack the intern. We had an intern named Jack. Okay, and he was also there with us. And he was just strung up. He was just hammered, right? He was drunk as shit. And he was like, all right, I'll take care of it. Don't worry, right? And remember, there was a lot of minorities here, right? And he gets on the mic, and he was like, everybody's got to get the fuck out. And then he was like, I can't say this to me in Spanish.
He goes,
or say it in Spanish or some shit like that.
He goes, everybody's got to get the fuck out of here right now. And like, you know, this kid weighs 80 pounds soaking wet, right? So it's just sort of dead silence. So we're just looking at him. And then he goes, I need a translator up here. Someone who speaks Spanish, come translate this. And people were like, whoa. Like,
people
we're
were
going to
just, music cut down, and everybody was just looking at him like,
Oh.
So it subsequently took us another 45 minutes to kick everybody out because of the fights that were breaking out.
man, and that could have really gotten real ugly,
yes.
especially for him. So that was
could have gotten real.
that was like the tipping point for that particular intern.
That was absurd. Yeah.
And then while we're on the subject of interns here, why don't we go through
let's
on this intern topic here?
Yeah.
I mean, we do haze. I feel like I'm the worst out of all of us.
Yes.
I feel like I'm definitely the worst.
Yeah, especially with this one. Because you had a pre-existing relationship with this one as a student.
Yeah.
And you know him from Twitter.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm going to crush this kid. You're like, I know who this kid thinks he is. I'm going to crush him. And it's going to be good for him.
Right. So here's a little backstory. I mean, we started getting interns. Why did we start looking for him?
Because we needed work.
You
We needed free work done.
We needed the little stuff done so that Charlie could really focus on the bigger picture. Like
Right.
Charlie was doing a lot of the shit that, you know, just made sure that the operation stayed alive.
Right.
And he wasn't able to focus on the things that he needed to focus on as far as growth, as far as the bigger picture and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we were like, all right, fuck it, we need some interns here.
Right.
And we started posting at NYU.
Yes.
And you remember those couple candidates that came in from NYU?
Not even close.
But they had the most pristine resumes. Though.
Oh, amazing. They came in
fucking
suits. They were always like master's students with 4.0 GPAs in economics and tremendously smart, and we were like, not going to work. So no way.
Right.
Yeah. Like culturally, they just were not a fit. It would have been horrible.
Right. Like you can't have a beer with these people.
No.
You can't hang out. They can do one thing and they can do it great.
Which is great for them.
Which is awesome.
Not great for
You know,
us. Yeah.
not really the right fit for us. So we
Right.
started poaching off of Twitter.
Right.
We started poaching off of Twitter. We got a couple off of Twitter. Ran through those guys because they just couldn't. They couldn't.
A lot of
figure it
people
out.
couldn't keep up. Yeah.
And then we came up on Greg. Why did we come up on Greg? Like, why was he even in a camp?
You would know. I just remember one day you being like,
It was
this dude
me,
Gombo,
right?
we're bringing him in for an interview.
Yeah,
And I was like,
Oh, so it's me.
Yeah, because
Oh, shit.
when you had Musso,
Yeah.
before you had him, I was like, I'll come in. I'm like, I'm 10 minutes away. I'm in Jersey.
Right.
And you're like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine. So
But
then,
what was our relationship before I
oh,
even
it was
poached
awful.
you? But
I
what
got
was?
banned from the chat every single day.
Oh, so you were in my chat though.
And I was
Oh,
in
yeah.
a class.
oh yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I got
that's
banned
right.
every day.
Yep. I remember that.
But why did you get banned every day?
I mean, you know,
Inappropriate.
sometimes you just didn't like the things I was saying.
Okay, so everybody, this is Greg. You can find him at OptionsTraderNJ on Twitter. He's already got 1,000 followers. Lord knows where the hell he did that from.
And he's starting to build up a pretty cool following now because he's writing sort of his story, you
Right.
know, on the site, right? And a lot of you guys have read his articles. He's
Right.
really writing from the perspective of like a younger trader coming in,
Yeah.
you know, learning options, learning how to deal with, you know, accounts of various sizes blowing up.
Right.
You know, why don't you,
Yeah, so back to the story here. So we just kept talking. I remember you kept throwing it at me, though.
Yeah.
You kept throwing it at me like you were very persistent about it.
Yeah.
So we brought you in,
Yeah.
and then how was that interview?
So I walked 2 miles from Penn Station.
Right.
I was half an hour early.
Okay.
You made me sit in the chair right there.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just sit there.
I was like,
Yeah.
sit
And you
your ass
had
down, man.
you had trades on from overnight or something. And like every 2 minutes, you turn, look at me, and be like, "Hey," and just go back to whatever you were doing.
let the mind games begin?
Okay. Okay.
So-
So you started here,
I started here.
and then
And
what
then-
what was your tasks? I mean, what was your task?
Well,
It was emails and bitch work.
emails, bitch work, breakfast.
Breakfast.
I have to do the breakfast runs.
Cleaning.
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 For those of you who try to be his intern in the future, sausage, egg, and cheese, spinach, tomato on a plain bagel.
No, it's the roll, motherfucker. It's the roll.
Whatever. Yeah, still don't.
See?
But-
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, that, and then I started dealing with the students and all that, and
Right.
Yeah.
just blossomed from there.
Right. Now, also, like, what were some of the moments that you just cringed every time that you heard me, or what were some
So
of those?
every time you were awake before I got here, I knew it was gonna be a crappy day.
Why?
because it either meant that you had a huge position on that you
Okay.
just weren't comfortable with sleeping in.
Okay.
Because mind you, your normal wake up is like
8:15, right? 8:30.
8:45 to 9
No,
o'clock.
but that's when he rolls out. He's awake.
All right, well that's when he makes his first appearance to the public.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So if you're out and sitting in your chair before that, I knew it was gonna be a bad day.
That's hilarious.
And then New Year's Eve
New Year's Eve.
I spent my New Year's Eve at the door.
No,
Yeah,
and,
he's
then I,
announcing.
and then I spent it
and then he
next
spent
to
it
the
in the toilet. Guys, that's actually moment number 5. I mean, one of the
Can't
best
talk
parties
about
that
all
we've
that.
had here was the New Year's party.
Which I wasn't there for.
And by the way,
Thank
just
God.
to preface this, Charlie doesn't even come to these parties. And when he does come to these parties, he fucking sits there until 11, 11:30, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna dip out.
No, the LA party, I
Fucking
was
dip out.
there.
That's because you put the fucking thing on, man. You
Right,
put
but
it on,
that was
was your show.
Right, that was fun.
Oh yeah, and then LA.
No, I missed 5. I was out of town for 5 parties in a row, and they got better and better apparently as time went on. And the New Year's party,
Yeah.
people still rave about. It was
man.
it was like black tie.
Oh, man.
Just baller. Like, it
Unbelievable.
was just sweet.
It
And I
was
own a
unbelievable.
tux. It's one of the few articles of clothing I actually own and
Yeah.
I'm proud of, and I didn't get to.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable. So Greg here was on the door, and he's been on the door for a couple other parties too.
Yeah, 2, 3, something like that.
2, 3, something like that. So out of your experience here thus far, I mean, be honest here. What did we? I mean, are you enjoying it? Are you?
It was good. I mean, being an intern is a lot like pledging again.
Yes,
Like
it is.
pledging for
And I was a really crappy pledge. I would imagine I was a really crappy intern.
We've had worse.
Yeah, we've had much.
Right, so I was
We've
a
had
crappy intern.
Yeah. And then now everybody, he's our sales manager right now. And how do you feel as far as was it all worth it?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, you can-
It was fun. No, I mean, I got to see a different side of you from time to time besides the whole Sang Lucci on Twitter.
Right.
You are a human.
Right.
But,
Greg he was going to do a thing. Maybe we'll do it at some point about how Sang Lucci is actually human and not a machine, just in terms of like cranking out trades and
Yeah.
money all the time.
Right.
There's actually a human
Not a
being
robot.
behind. Yeah.
Right. All right. Let's do number 4 here. Let's do like a big trade where it was very emotional.
I mean, I got
Let's
one.
do a huge one where it
You
was
gotta do
so
the Amazon.
emotional.
The Amazon trade.
The Amazon.
The summer.
when
year
Pete
ago.
when Pete was gone.
Yeah.
Pete was in Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's just you and I in here. This is before we had anybody else working in here. It's just Lucci and I in the loft. You were, I can't remember if you were short or long apple. But
Okay.
at this point, the trade that you had on it did double the fund. We made like 100% in like a single trade.
Right.
And I remember, I've grown up around, traders. So many of my friends are traders. I know a strange amount about traders, but I had never been in the room when a trade like that was on before.
Right.
And I remember you at one point, and it was just silence in here.
Yeah.
There was no music on. It was just
Yeah.
like, it was one of those times, it was way beyond that. It was like white knuckling it through
Right.
to see what would happen. And as we went in the close, it like went super well in our
Yeah.
direction. I think you were peeling out at that point.
Yeah.
And when you got done, you were like, Charlie, look at my hand. And you were mad shaking
Yeah.
because you hadn't eaten part of it. You hadn't eaten anything
Yeah.
in like 24 hours.
When I get like crazy into a trade, I don't eat.
Yeah.
I don't eat because I can't risk eating standing up.
Yeah.
You don't even feel like you can pull away from it.
He was literally sitting here.
You came in.
Yeah.
He was sitting there watching the tape, just consuming it. I mean, it was crazy to see that focus.
What year was that? Was that the
That
first
was the
year?
first year.
That was
the first year.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge trip.
I mean, guys, we've been through a lot. I mean, we started with a couple $100,000, and we obviously had more money coming in and everything, but there were periods of time where we really thought we weren't even going to have it anymore. Like
we thought we were screwed. Yeah.
There was periods of time where we thought we were done.
Yeah.
Where I really thought I didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
And then finally it just clicked. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
You were like, just relax.
Just go.
Yeah.
And then we just went on a streak, and from there, obviously, collecting more investment and things like that. But we've turned that into.
Well, I mean, you turned the corner in terms of learning, I think, psychologically how to manage other people's money, which is a huge obstacle that a lot of people don't talk about for emerging managers.
And remember too, it was like me coming back still from my hiatus and still trying to figure out like if I still have it. Right? Because you make all this money one time, that doesn't mean you can do it again.
Right.
You have this one great year, that doesn't mean you can do it again.
Right.
And that's
you
all
had a lot more than one great. I mean, you're oversimplifying it.
Oh no, absolutely.
Right.
But you always have that fear that you
The
can't
one big
produce
trade
it. You can't
is-
produce it again,
Right.
or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And
It's just the nature of being a trader.
yeah. So any other trades, Greg? Were you around when there was like a
I mean,
huge
I wasn't
trade?
here for it, but
That
the
Amazon trade was
for 300
really
over the
going to
summer.
go down in history as probably one of my
I thought you were young. Then.
one of my biggest debacles, man.
I mean, that was that the one that we were up like.
Yeah,
That was the one that we were up 600 grand in.
Right.
that was like when I got permanently booted.
Yeah.
And
I asked him why he didn't take it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. I was young on a lot.
That's
of
right. He
it.
didn't stab you, dude.
Yeah.
I was at home, so I
Right,
wasn't
right,
physically
right.
here. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was.
I mean, that's a great example of just traders often.
Yeah.
We had made $300,000 that day, guys.
Yeah.
And Lucci looked like someone had shot his dog. I mean, he was
Yeah.
just depressed. And
it was
because
so
it was
bad.
what could have been, and
Yeah.
that's always something.
And I saw it. I had it. It was there.
Right.
And
It was a crazy.
it's weird how you miss a moment,
Right.
and you're so invested in that moment.
Right.
And when you miss that moment, you freeze.
Yeah.
You
Right.
you completely freeze because
Right.
you're not invested in anything else besides that moment.
Right.
And and the realization that moment just disappeared, it dawns on you.
Right.
And you can't move.
Right.
You can't fucking move.
That is something that is consistent. I mean, traders
Yeah.
talk about that consistently, like with that language, frozen, deer in headlights, frozen. I mean, that is something that hits traders, especially as you're sizing up. I think,
Yeah.
because you're dealing with new territory.
Exactly. And by the way, guys, that's what this whole process has been for the last 2 years. I started with a couple hundred G's. So now we're at a point where, there's a few million we're talking about here. And trading a few million, you hit these certain walls. You hit a wall here, you hit a wall here, you hit a wall here, and it takes you a while to figure out what to do with that wall or how to get over that wall.
Right.
And then once you do, it's an explosion to the upside, and then there's new problems to freaking deal with.
Right.
And that's just how it goes.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's probably it there.
Wasn't it like you were up $500,000 and then down 70 grand?
Yeah, something
and
like
then
that.
closed.
And then close at 3.
300.
And then close at 3. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I remember that was.
Something like that. I think it
I
was
was-
600.
I was at
It was
home
definitely like 600.
snickering.
And Musso was behind me. He was looking at it the whole time.
I remember that.
He
I
was
remember
just
Musso
looking at
being
it
like, "This is crazy." Yeah.
He was just looking at it the whole fucking time. I remember looking behind me like, what are you doing behind me? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, yeah, I can put myself in his shoes and understand why you'd be so into it.
So lastly here, what do we got? What do we got for last moments here? What do we got for closing thoughts here?
I mean, yeah, this is kind of an exercise. Obviously, there's no way we could ever encapsulate like part of it that I kind of it's basically the point of the site, I guess, is to communicate everything that we've learned within these walls. I mean, there's been conversations, guys. I mean, the first time that some of the people within the firm, that we work with now, started laying out the realities of the markets or started talking to us about their strategies.
Right.
I mean, we were all just looking at each other like, oh my God, like that is insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. And like honestly, just being like, I can't wait to teach. Try it. It's not even teach people often. It's like try and convince people that this is actually real. Because unless you're sitting there often, you won't believe that this stuff is real. I mean, the documentary has got to be up there.
Was huge. Actually, you know what? Yeah, the documentary was there in the sense that was really the first thing that we were a part of that put us
really more
on the radar.
Yeah.
And even though it was a story centered around Hein Bodick and his experiences in the market and also the fun that he had, even though it was about that story, we were in there.
We were in there. Yeah, we were
in there.
legitimate, and it wasn't just like fictional. It's like we had earned sort of our spot in there, and for us to be alongside Brian and Hein was very cool.
Right. And it almost makes, and it's shitty to even say this, but like the Forbes article, right? The Bloomberg article,
right?
All the other people that are in here that are being boasted on these big major media networks,
right?
I don't know about you, but like it doesn't feel as big as the Wall Street Code. Like,
right. It wasn't.
Big,
no, it's not.
As like
no
the Wall
way.
Street Code.
No, I mean being in a movie like that,
right?
And having someone who, I mean, the filmmaker had. She was not from finance, and she had made actually a film that Pete and I used to watch on repeat when we were in LA.
Yes,
called
Quants.
The
These
Alchemist
guys,
of Wall
every
Street.
time I went to LA,
Yeah.
that shit was on TV.
In part because
That
the
shit was on
narrator has
TV.
this really cool accent, and it just kind of sounds nice having on in the background, which is kind of hilarious. But
Yeah.
you know, I had really liked her work and admired her work, and for her to take an interest enough to bring a whole crew over to the States and document everything we were doing. To me, it was a validation, I think, for us that it was like
It was huge. I mean, there was the cameras here, the microphones here, and it was everything.
because there's times when you're like, we're just all crazy. Like the three of us, we're just all nuts.
Yeah.
Because when you do entrepreneurial stuff, or traders understand this too. Like your friends, your family, sometimes people are just like, you're crazy.
You're nuts.
You don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing, and you're crazy.
Yeah.
And when you have,
We get that all the time. I
still get that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get kind of third-party validation like that,
Right.
it's huge. It's
Yeah.
a big deal. And that was one of the first times that that someone from the outside had come in and been like, "What you guys are doing is very different."
Right. And I think you just launched your whole ordeal or sort of spiel, after that. Like you started going after really hard what part that you wanted to take control of as far as Sang Lucci went, as far as the psychology side.
Right.
And that's where I'm sure the ideas started brewing for eventually you to come up on the True Brain thing.
Yeah, I think I realized.
And that was huge, by the way. And nobody, we downplayed that a lot. Like the True Brain thing in LA, that shit was huge, man.
Oh, totally.
huge.
I mean, honestly, just the conversations that have come out of that,
Yeah.
and guys, I can't even articulate. Like, there's been so much cool stuff that has happened in the last 6 months, even since that Bloomberg article came out. The people that have reached out to us, the conversations we're having, the stuff that we're hopefully gonna be able to provide in the next 6 months, year, 10 years.
Even
like,
people reading content that are just like, wow, I never knew this was here. This is such a fresh perspective.
Right.
In terms of what we always read every single freaking day.
Right.
Investors too that are coming at us like, yeah, we saw you in here, we saw you in here.
Yep.
This was awesome. What's up with this? But random people just kind of hit you up and being like, yo, this is what I do. I want to get involved.
Yep.
And all that kind of thing is just kind of that big snowball effect, and it's amazing.
It's amazing to see.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
To really see it all come out.
And people reacting to stuff you write too. I mean, Greg, you're experiencing that now.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg's had kind of a surreal moment where you write stuff, you have no idea if people are going to care at all.
Yeah.
And then when you get responses, it's really cool to have kind of a connection like that. And Greg's been looking at us and being like, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
People are like,
Good.
yeah.
Just wait until I post like a big.
Oh, you're gonna get trolls.
You're gonna get it, and that's the point. I mean, but the good thing is that you're starting from a point where you've seen somebody stomach all that shit, and you've seen somebody stomach it and still make it through.
Right.
So that means that there's value in that. Especially for you, to just stomach that shit and keep going.
Right.
Because considering the fact that you've already done it.
Yeah, I know.
Considering the fact that you've already done it and now you're here, it kind of puts you on another level. Where instead of starting, just messing around at your house and all that kind of stuff, you can really take this shit seriously and make it happen.
Yeah.
Lastly here, what do we got?
Last one.
Last one here. Last one. We should just talk about this party that we're gonna have.
Yeah, the final send-off.
The
guys,
final
is gonna be-
send-off party, guys. I mean, this shit is gonna be nuts.
And if anybody's in New York, guys, hit us up.
Hit us up.
We,
Hit us up.
when we were in LA, we had an awesome time meeting all the students and followers that were out there. Hit us up if you're in New York. We'd love to have you.
Cops are definitely gonna come to this one.
Cops have come to everything.
Cops have come to every one of the parties. They've come to every one of the parties, but you know what's happened? They've walked right in. They see everybody nicely dressed. They see everybody,
one's
acting
doing
cool,
anything, really.
and they walk right out.
Right.
And they walk right out. Correct?
About flamethrowers.
Oh, well, this time around.
They're professional.
This time around,
Like,
They're professionals.
So this time around, we got magicians, we got performers that are gonna do floor performances here.
Just gonna get crazy.
Congo line.
We got a drummer. We got a couple DJs, and we're trying to get a flamethrower. I think.
It's gonna get wild. Fire breather.
Fire
is
breather.
the official term.
Oh,
A flamethrower.
fire-
Flamethrower is like a.
Oh,
like a
yeah.
machine,
We're trying to get it, and we're gonna decorate this place obviously pretty crazy. So this is probably gonna be our last moment here, and we're gonna try to. We should try to live tweet some of the shit.
Yeah, that could get crazy, but we'll do it. As long as we still can see the screen, we'll do that.
All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and especially being a follower on Twitter and everything. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate all the comments and everything on YouTube.
On the site,
keep it coming. Keep it coming. Keep coming to the site. We are constantly evolving, and adding new people and adding new things. And stuff's going to get pretty cool, especially with us all separating. And we got this whole virtual office thing going on.
Right.
I'm back in my city, you know?
Yeah, guys.
I'm back in my city.
It's hard to articulate that people are sort of looking at us and they're like, well, aren't you? I mean, you guys are sort of breaking up. You're losing momentum. And in reality, I think we're all sort of looking at it as like, listen, we've had an awesome time for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of crazy ideas. Like, now it's time to get serious.
Now,
you know, like we're all sort of taking it to like an adult level, you might say, and being like, listen, we're really so guys. The jump that you guys are going to see in terms of what we're going to be able to provide you in the next 6 months to a year is going to be insane.
Yeah,
So
so stick around. Watch out for this kid too. Watch out for this kid. Fuck the Rangers though.
Yo, how's Boston doing?
Shut up.
all right, guys. Yo, also we had 12th day classes start last night. People are still signing up. All right.
Yeah.
So if you are interested, email Greg at sanglucci.com. Still got a discount for you. Sign up.
Cool. Later, everybody.
Word.